I'm Tom Foster, Executive Director at Bullion Plaza Cultural Center and Museum. We're here today to welcome you on a tour of what we have inside. So come on in and enjoy. Lots to see. So Bullion Plaza School began its life in 1923 as a segregated school for Mexican American and Native American children only. It was desegregated in 1950-51, continued on as a school till the mid-90s, and then after that it became a museum and cultural center here in Miami, Arizona. The building was built and designed by architect and engineer Henry Trost from El Paso, Texas. There were 4 buildings here built by him in Miami. Only 3 exist. Now Miami High School was torn down. So we have Buena Vista School, Bullion Plaza Museum, and Divine Grace Presbyterian Church. For your convenience as you visit Bullion Plaza Museum, we've generated a map for you of all the exhibits, where they're located in the building. Primarily on the first floor at this point. The second floor is coming soon. So we're standing here in the Inspiration Room at Bullion Plaza Museum. This room we use primarily for events, presentations, meetings, and other gatherings. What we're looking at here, first off, is a table with a set of chairs. These originally were made in Italy and shipped here in the 1920s, and they were used in the boardroom at what is now Inspiration Consolidated Copper Company. And then the large cast iron piece here, this is a cast iron boiler tag. This came off of one of the boilers in the power plant at Inspiration. The painting is a picture that was done here. It was an opening ceremony, I believe, for the opening of Highway 60. And of course, 60 back in the day did not come through Miami like it does now. It came in front of Bullion Plaza and down Sullivan Street. So this is a painting of an original photograph that was taken here during that time in the 1920s. Here is the Rose Mofford collection. This is her exhibit room at Bullion Plaza Museum. This is memorabilia from her time in office as Secretary of State and Governor of Arizona. This was all donated to Bullion Plaza, initially by her and then through her estate. So this is the Slavic exhibit room. This was put together by local people from the Slavic community and family. So each board in here that you see represents a family that lived in the Globe Miami area, grew up here, raised their family, started businesses, worked in the mines. You also see a lot of the different costuming that came from Slavic communities in the old country. We're in the mineral hallway here at Bullion Plaza. The minerals represented here mostly come from this area, so Globe Miami and San Carlos, Gila County, and then Arizona in general. We do work with the University of Arizona and their collection, so a lot of minerals that are here come from their collection, and they are on loan to Bullion Plaza. We are standing here in front of the Linotype Machine at Bullion Plaza Museum. This machine was used here in Miami to print the papers back in the day. The operator would sit In front of the keyboard, he would type out the letters that he would need. He would use these bronze matrices, which would line up on the machine. Then that was turned into a lead line of type, and then that line of type was used to print the paper. This is the John Wayne rock. This rock came from this area, from a local mine. It was in the Copper Hills Restaurant and Bar. And John Wayne actually spent a lot of time in the bar with Danko Gurovich. And this rock was moved before the bar burned down. And it went back down to Phoenix and was given to the museum by Governor Rose Mofford some years ago. Okay, so we're in the George and Hazel Cox room, the ranch room at Bullion Plaza Museum. Is just a little look at some of the things that you would have seen during the workday of ranch life. So blacksmithing equipment, of course a stove in the corner to keep you warm while you were working, all the different tools, the saws and everything else, plus shoeing equipment for the horses. One of the main events in the history of Arizona and in Gila County was the Pleasant Valley War. It started in the mid-1880s and lingered for quite a few years. It was between two families, the Grahams and the Tewksburys, primarily in Pleasant Valley in Young, Arizona. One of the opening shots of the Pleasant Valley War was at the Middleton Cabin, and this is at the far end of Gila County, and it was a shootout between both factions, and basically cemented the war. It brought it into harsh reality, and proceeded on from there. We're in the Native American exhibit room at Bullion Plaza, and what we've done here is try to depict a lot of the life that went on here before we were here, before the Anglos arrived. The pictures on the walls are little snapshots of the day-to-day life that went on the reservation and the surrounding areas. The baskets, for the most part, are from here, from this area. Actually, some of the collection here came directly behind Bullion Plaza back around 1906 and came home here a few years ago to be displayed. The dresses on the right are from the San Carlos Indian Reservation just east of Globe, Miami, and they are still worn. The styles are still used today. One of our more popular exhibits here at Bullion Plaza is our mining exhibit hallway. Of course, mining is still primary resource here in the Globe, Miami area and for Arizona. So there's a lot of artifacts in here that are mining related. A lot of these actually came from the area. The images on the wall are from Miami Copper Underground about World War I, so about 1918. Below that, you'll see some of the things that were used underground, the tools and implements that they needed to carry on their work. So drills and blasting boxes and other items. We are standing currently in the Mexican exhibit room. This actually portrays a lot of the Mexican community and what they did and what they contributed in the Globe, Miami area, as well as local history. This is a replica of Our Lady of Blessed Sacrament Church. It was built in 1917, and this is on Sullivan Street in Miami. On this wall we have local history of Miami that goes back from the earliest days. You'll see a lot of photographs here of the different streets and the buildings that were here from the early days of Miami, from about 1907 1909 onward. So this was a mining town. It's still a rural community today. A lot of the buildings that you see in this picture still exist. Some have been changed. The facades have been changed, but they still exist today. Back in some of the earlier history of Miami, we had the town, of course, was laid out, and each area had its own set of numbers. That was a code. And the code was sent to the fire department and printed out. The code was generated through a call box like this one in front of us, and then was printed out on a piece of paper, and also it was rung on a bell. And so you can see here that Bullion Plaza was 2-6. This is 2-7. So that would be Pine Street, which is just up the road here. We're standing in the military room at Bullion Plaza. This begins the journey. We've more or less portrayed a lot of the major conflicts here from the 1860s and 70s forward into World War II, Korea, and beyond. One of the contributing factors to a lot of the history of Southern Arizona and the history of Globe Miami was the conflict on the Mexican border with Pancho Villa from 1912 into the 1920s. So behind us you will see a lot of information and history on that conflict with Pancho Villa, the Mexican government, U.S. troops. Some of the artifacts in that exhibit are on loan from Arizona Historical Society in Tucson, and those artifacts, especially a lot of the firearms, were actually used during that conflict on the border with Villa. We're standing at the farthest northern point of the museum now. We've come to the end of the building, maybe one of the most important exhibits in the building. This is a McCusick tile exhibit. The McCusicks came here in the late 40s, early 50s. They generated a business developing ceramic tiles. The tiles are known all over the world. The work is exceptional, and we are really lucky to have this exhibit here at Bullion Plaza. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining us today on this journey, on your visit to Bullion Plaza Museum. Please tell your friends that we're here, and when you have the opportunity, we would enjoy seeing you here in person. So until then, thank you again.